Welcome back to Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. I am your host, Robert Burwell. I'm also the president of the Washington 3%. Today we're going to be talking about how the state's corruption and incompetence is costing us more of our money, like always. Let's see here. Start off by saying I'm back in Washington, home from vacation. Had a good time, enjoying a little freedom in states that aren't so ridiculous as this. I do miss spending $2.98 a gallon for gas, but what can you do when you got morons who vote in the state and think it's a good idea to pay double what the rest of the country pays for in gas to basically line the pockets of the state and not do anything to clean up the environment? But I digress. You know, it's just one of those things that constantly eats at me, and I'm going to probably mention it all the time. That being said, we are talking about the state's current issues with their liability insurance for lawsuits. So, according to this article in the Daily Chronicle, the Department of Enterprise Services is seeking a one-time infusion of nearly $570 million to address skyrocketing liability costs. So, they have gone to the governor and asked for $570 million more of our tax dollars to fund their liability insurance to pay for lawsuits that are being filed against the state for incompetence and corruption. According to the Department of Enterprise Services, without a fix to the funding, the state's self-insurance fund, the gap could grow to more than $1.3 billion by mid-2027. Gets worse. And if we don't increase funding to it, it will be anywhere between $2 billion and $3.2 billion underwater by 2029. Billions of dollars in 2 years. That gap's going to grow. Why is that gap going to grow? Because of the state's incompetence and mishandling of a number of our agencies and the lack of oversight. The state is getting the pantsuit off of them. We're facing billions of dollars in lawsuits. And as always, the fix is not to go into these agencies and fix the problem, start holding people accountable for causing the state to get sued. No, we're just going to throw money at it. We'll just buy more insurance. We're not going to change what we're doing, even though the reason they're being sued is because they're ruining people's lives. You know, that's okay. No, we're just going to throw money at it and ignore the problem that we have in this state. But let me continue with what the article has to say. So they are also asking our wonderful, wonderful governor, Sideshow Bob Ferguson, to propose to the legislature adjusting the insurance fund's ongoing funding to minimize the shortfall. So they want the governor to press our legislature on both sides to increase the funding to minimize the shortfall. They don't want to, have him push our legislators. They don't want to have him push our legislators to, do their job and provide oversight and consequences to these agencies like they're supposed to do. They just want the legislature to throw more money at it so we can continue paying people who are being hurt by the state. So that's awesome. So if they increase the funding, this is going to cost us, hundreds more millions of dollars a year to offset what the state is having to pay out. And, we got all kinds of money, right? We the citizens, we're a never-ending source of cash. They're just gonna tax us some more. No big deal. It's not their money, right? Just throw it around. Not their money. They don't care. So, according to the article, the recent fiscal year, which ended on June 30th, the liability fund brought in $230 million. That's how much we, the taxpayers, paid into it under the current funding levels, the funding scheme. We paid in $230 million to this insurance fund, which covered which was the majority of it was for the premiums. But in the same fiscal year, the fund spent $595 million in payouts to settle lawsuits. Okay? $595 million to settle lawsuits. They only brought in $230 million. And that's why they're asking for more money, because they have to cover these costs of what we're having to pay out because of their incompetence. And currently, at the current funding levels, this account is being allowed to operate at a deficit of up to about $1 billion right now. Right now, it's operating at a deficit of $1 billion. And, yeah, so we're already in the hole. And they're just trying to throw a little bit of money at it to keep from totally going under. But then they want to increase the funding and all that good stuff because, how do we fix problems in Democrat-controlled states? We just throw money at it. We don't actually address the root cause, which is, why are people suing the state? No, we're not going to address that. We're just going to throw money at it to pay out the lawsuits and not admit any responsibility for what's being done wrong at these agencies in this state. Okay. So, all of these costs that we got piling up represent the extent to which the state is being held to account for decades of alleged misconduct. And remember, these lawsuits go back to decades of abuse and malfeasance and misconduct by state agencies. It takes things a long time to go through the court system, but yeah, this stuff is coming, and for decades the state has been incompetent in overseeing their programs and their departments, and we just have to keep paying for it. So the decades of alleged misconduct that we're getting includes wrongful termination, right? The wrongful termination suits are mostly from COVID firings. People got fired for not taking the shot, and now they have to bring them back and pay them off. So we got those. And wrongful deaths in prison. It's another one we're being sued for. Another big hitter. I'm getting sued for all kinds of stuff, but that's another big hitter. It's death in prisons. And mishandled child welfare cases. That's probably the biggest of the bunch, is the mishandled child welfare cases. As you know, our Department of Health and Human Services, they are absolutely horrid in their handling of child abuse and sexual abuse cases. And this has been going on for decades. It used to be the agency's sole purpose was to protect children. That's what they were formed for. That's what they're supposed to do, is protect children. But somewhere along the line, I don't know, about 20 years ago or so, I can't remember when they started, they decided that the priority should not be protecting children, but the priority should be reunification with their family. Now, when you got a parent who sexually abuses a child, physically abuses a child and all that, they still they send them to a couple parenting classes and pronounce them, you're healed, right? And they throw the kid back into that mess. And children, many children in the state have died because they were returned to parents who shouldn't have had them. And what's our solution? No, we're not gonna change our tack and go back to actually protecting children. We're gonna keep the same failed policy that's cost a lot of children's lives. No, we're just gonna throw more money at it to pay the children off that survive for the trauma that we caused them through the incompetence of the state. That's because, again, in a Democrat stronghold, how do we fix things? We throw money at it. We don't fix problems. We throw money at it, and that's what we're doing here. Just, same stuff, different day. One example, well, a couple of examples of the kind of payouts that we're having to make. This is a recent case out of Spokane. A jury recently awarded the state to pay a woman $42 million. $42 million for failing to protect her from years of childhood sexual abuse. So she's sexually abused for years, reported it, state got involved, sent the parents to a couple classes, kept sending the kid back, it was just terrible. And so she went through her entire childhood of being sexually abused, which was being allowed by the state through their incompetence. And now she got paid $42 million of our tax money because of some bleeding heart idiot working at the Department of Health and Human Services decided that, all you have to do is talk to the parent and they'll quit sexually abusing their child. We'll send them to, an 8-hour class and they'll be healed. It's just utter ridiculousness. And not only do they turn these children back to these kind of people, but most of the time, they don't even bother to check on them once they give them back. And it's terrible. And that's why we're having to pay $42 million for that. You want another example of incompetence and corruption in the state? How about what happened at Green Hill Juvenile Facility in Chehalis? We had a guard there who was sexually abusing the boys in the juvenile facility. It was reported many times. Leadership did nothing about it and allowed this person to continue to sexually assault young boys for years. Years. And now we got a bunch of lawsuits coming out of that one too. It's like, it's going to cost us a whole bunch more money because of, they're criminals. We're not going to believe them. We're going to believe this guy. Right? Incompetent. Totally incompetent. But just throw money at it. It'll be okay. So one of the reasons they're in such a panic to get the funding fixed and to put more money into this program is the state, Washington State, is currently facing lawsuits. Just the pending lawsuits that they're fighting right now and that have been filed against the state come out to $2.5 billion in liability if they lose the cases. We're facing $2.5 billion in liability just in the currently filed cases. $2.5 billion. That's what the incompetence of Democrat leadership in this state has cost us and is going to cost us. Now, remember, we're facing, we're going to have to come up with $2.5 billion if and when we lose these claims, which we pretty much lose every one of them because you can't defend the stupidity of this state. So $2.5 billion to just tack on to that $57 billion deficit we're already facing. My only thoughts on this, besides the total incompetence, everybody knows about the incompetence. It's been widely reported for years, and for years, nothing's been done. Status quo, no oversight, no consequences. Just throw money at it. That's the Democrat way. And the people in the state continue to vote for this kind of incompetence, this kind of corruption, this kind of mishandling of our tax dollars, and complete lack of oversight of state agencies, and complete lack of accountability for people in these state agencies when they do stuff wrong. They just, allow them to continue. They can't be bothered to, do their job and make sure the people below them are doing theirs. It's not their problem, right? Taxpayers got all kinds of money. We can afford to pay off these lawsuits because we feel good when we unify children back with parents who should never have kids in the first place. It feels good to put a family back together, right? Never mind the kids getting raped and beaten. But the family's been reunited, and that's our priority because we care. I swear this is a clown world. People are in this state. I hope you wake up. I hope these videos help wake you up, show you what voting by your feelings is costing us. Using your feelings to vote instead of your head, instead of facts. Just voting by your feelings or because what you heard on the news or whatever. You need to pay attention to what's really going on, to the tune of $2.5 billion that we're facing, that we're going to have to come up with when we're already broke because of Democrat incompetence. And with that, that's all I've got for tonight. And we'll talk to you again next time on Behind the Wire. Oh, last thing, I almost forgot. If you're curious about our organization, you can go to our website at www.wa3%.org. That's our organization. You can read our bylaws, find out what we're about, who we are, what we believe. And also, if you believe in helping veterans, we also have a 501c4 charitable organization called Boots on the Home Ground, which you will find a link on our website there to go to Boots on the Home Ground. It's a 100% volunteer organization. Not a single person gets a single penny of the money. Nobody's paid. It's all run by volunteers. And we help out our local communities. We help our local veterans. We've helped out in times of disaster, fires, floods, all kinds of issues. We do what we can. We want to do more. And if you could donate to us, that would be awesome. We do have the options to donate a one-time donation or do a small monthly donation. Every little bit helps. Like I said, there isn't a single person in this organization that gets a dime from that money. It all goes to help people who need things. That being said, I'll talk to you next time on Behind the Wire. Good night.